Hi, my name is Rafael Mora, and I really hope you enjoyed this webinar.
So today's session, right, it's about critical thinking. What are the objectives we have for this specific session? First of all, we want to review and to conceptualize a little bit on the meaning of critical thinking. Critical thinking, it's a term that many of us like have heard for many years, right? I would actually ask you, when was the first time you listened to this term? Do you remember the year when you listened to this idea of critical thinking for the first time?
About 5 years ago, maybe.
Some years ago, maybe. Some years like 1, 2, 5, 10, 15. How many years ago?
Like 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Very good. Thank you very much, Miss. Okay. Another of the objectives for today is to identify and differentiate among a variety of thinking skills. Like many times we hear, yes, we need to do critical thinking skills in the class. Yes, we need to promote critical thinking skills. But what are these critical thinking skills? Many times we do critical thinking skills, but maybe we don't know exactly what we're doing. Like am I comparing, am I contrasting, or can I like push students to do a little bit of making hypotheses? It sounds like, wow, making hypotheses, but it's not difficult. It is just the way you're going to guide your students into this kind of thinking. All right, now another of the objectives here today is to distinguish among higher order thinking skills and low order thinking skills. And maybe you have heard of Bloom's taxonomy. There's nothing bad whether it is like something of high order thinking or if it's something of low order thinking. It's just like different levels of thinking that we're going to promote in the classroom, depending on, right, the stage where you are or depending on the objective where you are. Okay, so are you ready to start? Let's start. Let's start with a quick poll here. I'm going to close the microphones for a little while. Let me close that. Okay, there you are, muted now. Okay, so let's take a look at some myths and facts about critical thinking. Yes, and I'm going to start with the first myth and fact that you can read as of now. Okay. It says the intellectual roots of critical thinking trace back to 2,500 years ago to the teaching practice and vision of Socrates. Okay, is it a myth or is it a fact? Someone said, heard of this word 5 years ago. I'll tell you, like the first time I heard of critical thinking was in 1991, I guess, like 20 years ago, and it was like, what's that? Okay, so I'm closing the poll now. And let's see the results we have here. Okay. You say it is a myth, about 27% and 73%. It's a fact. Let me tell you, this is a fact. Yes, this is an old term. Yes. At this point in life, we know that critical thinking is not like a buzzword. It's not something, like that is in fashion or something trendy. Yes. We also know that it's a concept in education that it's wow, like from many years, many thousands of years ago. We also know that critical thinking is part of what our Mexican policies or government, right, want to incorporate into our curriculum. Okay, actually, Socrates, right, demonstrated that people may have a lot of power, but in high positions, right, but they could be so confused or they could be like so irrational, right, that they don't think critically. And I think everyone has experienced that, right? Like how many times we don't run into people who have the power and just don't think critically. Yes. All right. Also, Socrates is the one who proposed the idea of asking deep questions, right? And we know that when we ask questions, we need to make sure these are like probably fact questions, right? That take us to the kind of thinking and analysis we want to do. Okay, let's go into one more question here in our poll. And there you go. It says critical thinking is premature for younger children. Is it a myth or a fact? Critical thinking is premature for younger children. So it would mean that at an early stage, in life, we should not promote critical thinking among students. Yes. So this would be a skill, let's say, more for maybe young adults or middle school students. What do you think? Okay, 62% has voted now. Let's close the poll here. And let me show you the results. Okay, there you have the results. So they say it's a myth, right? 85%, 15% is a fact. Yes, it is a myth, right? Critical thinking is not limited and should not be limited, right, to any age. We should always keep in mind that a well-designed curriculum is going to guide students, right? First, through the ABCs, right? What comes first, after. But then there must be a moment where we need to jump these students into more complex content, right? And the age is not like, let's say, a drawback. Yes, obviously there must be ways to actually channel these students into the kind of thinking we want them to do. Okay, so don't ever underestimate the students, right? Not because they're little, we're not going to do critical thinking. Yes, it could be possible. Okay, let's do one more question here. It says, here we go. There you go. The internet today has taken us to a digital world full of interesting and many times incorrect information. One person has answered saying it's a fact. Some other people say it's a myth. Okay, 55% now, 60%, 62. All right, so I think we could close the poll right now. So we're closing in 3, 1, 2, 3. And 81% believe it is a fact, and 19% it's a myth. And yeah, let me tell you, it is a fact. Yes, we're living a moment in which information travels at light speed. You know, it goes like super fast. But it's true that information may be distorted, right, the same way. So we should grow here digitally smart and develop enough digital literacy skills. And to build like this digital literacy, we need to become critical thinkers. We need to know to analyze and to judge information. Yeah, there's a basic rule in life I always like to apply, which is the accept, take, and reject, right, of information. So I think this is important, and especially if it comes from the internet. Yes. Critical thinking is going to do that. Critical thinking skills will help, let's say, refine our judgment and do not believe. I could tell you a personal experience here. My sister is always sending information. Oh, do you know what happened? I was like, where do you see it? Oh, I know where, Facebook, or on the internet. Don't believe what you read there. Yes. So yeah, we need to refine these thinking skills. Okay, let me show you one more. And it says, critical thinking should take place at the end of a lesson after language has been taught. Is it a myth or a fact? When do you do critical thinking? Like, you do it after language has been taught, let's say in the presentation of your class, after those first 10, 15, 20 minutes, don't know. Okay. 43%, 50, 50, yeah, 52. Okay. All right, let's close. We have almost 70%. Okay, let's see the results right here. All right, so 69% of the people who voted say it is a myth, and 31% they say it's a fact. And yes, it is a myth. Yes. We may still believe that critical thinking should be used like at a specific moments in class, and there's no specific moment, right? It could be used from the beginning of the class to the end. It all depends on what your objective is and where you want to take students and what you want to plan, okay? So don't be afraid to use critical thinking skills, okay? Now, we have one more, and this is here right now. It says, our job as language teachers is to merely teach skills and help the students succeed for certifications. That's what we have to do. What do you think? Okay, so we have 70% voting. Okay, let's close our poll right here. And I will share the results. 87% say it is a myth and 13% a fact. And Before actually giving an answer, right, to this statement, I should say that that curriculum like pretty much defines, right, what we wish to achieve and how far we want to get. We live a moment of eclecticism, like everyone teaches in the best possible way, obviously trying to get to students. But I think our job as teachers is not to stay like at a stage in which we do like mechanized teaching or what is called rote learning, right? We want to move from learning to more acquisition. Yes, we want students to actually face everyday situations like life problems they could solve. And by doing this, by using language in solving these problems, is a good way to actually construct language. So it is a myth, right? So as teachers, we can also contribute to our national educational standards. So not because we teach language, we're not going to make students think. Yes, we can do that. And I have one last question here for you. Okay, let's finish this poll by asking, okay, there it is. It says contextual constraints such as those imposed by exam cultures, well, are like, sorry, I got lost here. Okay, contextual constraints such as heavy emphasis on rote learning, right, holds students from fully developing critical thinking skills. That's the correct question, yes. Contextual constraints such as heavy emphasis on rote learning stops, right, students from fully developing critical thinking skills. Okay, we have 40% of the people answering. So one of the drawbacks, right, to using critical thinking skills is probably the emphasis we put on rote learning or mechanized teaching. Okay, let's close the poll here and let's share the results. And 71% say it's a fact, 29% say it's a myth. And yes, it is a fact, right? So we're saying before about a wide spectrum of approaches toward teaching. Yeah, we mentioned it's like a continuum that goes from what is like teacher-centered to student-centered, and we will analyze this part in a little while. So we have like different ways or different spaces to actually promote collaboration or to construct or to make students interact and communicate. And I think that the use of these thinking skills is a good way to promote all this. Okay, so let's get into our presentation, yes, which is critical thinking, yes. And after reading all these different statements and after checking your different answers, again, I could say that critical thinking is not like something trendy. It's not something, you know, that has become in fashion now. It's not, let's say, teaching hypothesis, right, that needs validation. Everything has been proof about this, right? Now the challenge is to actually use it. And again, I insist, like the first time I knew of the word and I tried to actually use it in the classroom, it was not easy. Right? It was not easy to say, yes, you need to make your students think critically, but how do I do that? How do I, you know, like combine not only language skills if I want to do writing or listening and speaking, and in addition to that, they need to do some critical thinking. And now also, they have to be like these collaborative activities, which actually, if you see, it's easier because critical thinking, it's about that. It's about making different connections. It's about asking students to interact, and collaborative teaching is a good way to actually promote this. Okay. Today, every educator has actually heard of this word because maybe educational speeches include this word, because even our courseware also includes critical thinking. Like whenever you have a new textbook, you can read in the beginning like, oh, and the idea is to promote critical thinking, or the lesson could also tell you what exact critical thinking skills are being promoted. Yes, so it's not something, let's say, new this time. It is something that we're more familiar with that. Okay, so let's start here, and I would like you to take a couple of minutes, right, and define what critical thinking is. Here I'm showing, okay, there it is. The words by themselves, right, in isolation. What critical is, what thinking is, yes. So take some minutes to build based on your experience as well. What's critical thinking? This is an interesting activity, okay? So what's critical thinking? I'm going to open your microphones now in a few seconds. And it would be great to listen to a couple of ideas, definitions, if you want to call it, that way. But to see what you have in mind and what's critical thinking. Okay. Okay. Now I'm opening those microphones. They're open now. So feel free to probably say your name first. And then you can give us your idea.
Ruth from Guadalajara, from Tlaquepaque. I think it is through rational judgment, express your ideas, questions, etc.
Okay, rational judgment. I like that. Like rational, it has to be something that is justified. It's not something you just say because you say, as Socrates said, right? There are people who are in high positions, but they don't reason out. Okay, thank you. Someone else?
Yes, hi.
Hello?
Hi. Well, I think critical thinking is give to our students a context, a real context to help them to make right decisions or solving problems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, context. Context is going to be important because critical thinking is going to be promoted through context. If we don't have context, if we don't have like real life situations, there's nothing, like to, let's say, criticize, or there's nothing to evaluate, or there is nothing to compare and contrast. If we go to the type of learning we probably did back in the 60s, 70s, which was more mechanized, well, there was no critical thinking. In a way, if you see, this is linked to what students feel and what they believe. Okay, anyone else? Any last comment? Okay, good couple of definitions. Thank you very much. Let's start analyzing here a definition of critical thinking, yes, according to the foundation of critical thinking. It says critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. Okay, so we have like keywords we could probably emphasize here. First, we have the word process, yes, and by process we understand a series of actions, right, or steps that we're going to be taken to achieve something in particular, yes. And then we have other words like conceptualizing, we have analyzing, synthesizing, and we also have the word evaluating, yes. And by these words, these are actually, let's say, different forms, different ways to think critically, yes, about the information. This is what we would call skills. So every time you analyze something, or you try to synthesize, you evaluate, you try to conceptualize, we're applying thinking skills. Obviously, there are many, not only these 5, right? And we have them in different levels, okay? Another important set of words here is observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication. And these are also other type of skills that we can use. And we have belief and action, yes. In this case, belief and action, it's a guide, yes, that is gonna take you to your understanding, yes. And it's going to form, yes, what is your general idea of a concept or of reason to be. All right, now critical thinking, it says here, is the ability to apply different reasoning and logic to new or unfamiliar ideas, opinions, and situations. Yes, this could be another definition. We can also say that critical thinking is reasonable, reflective thinking focused on deciding what to believe or do. Critical thinking is best understood as the ability of thinkers to take charge of their own thinking, right? And this last part is a line, right, I personally love, right? Because it's what we probably pursue as educators, right? In the long run, we could say that we wish to form autonomous students, right? Who become responsible for their own learning and that are able to follow a series of processes independently. So if we want to do this, well, how do we do that? By teaching them how to think. Yes, it's very important. Also, we understand that critical thinking is one of the 4 C's, right, in education. Yes, we're gonna check that also in a little while. Yes. Now, it's a skill because it is learned and practiced. Yes, so it means that it needs to be formed. We need training. Yes, and it's not going to happen overnight. So you need to give your students like the time they need, yes, to actually follow and to work on these ideas. So if your student is comparing or is contrasting or the student is predicting, he even has to know that he's predicting and what it is, yes? So he knows, oh, here I am changing my partner's point of view, which is another skill. So that's also important. So we're saying about the 4 C's in education, right? So remember, what are those 4 C's in education? Yes, you want to help me right here? What are those 4 C's? We have these bubbles for what?
Communication.
Thank you very much. And we have this light bulb with a lot of, like colors, because this is, which one? Creativity. Yes. We have hands because there's a lot of what? The first C could be. Thank you very much. And the last that we're going to find here is critical thinking. Okay, so that's going to be our last C. Okay, so something very important. Critical thinking is identified as one of the most important skills needed for job success, and still is one that people or let's say graduates lack in the new workforce. Yes, when they get to key positions and people are not able to take important decisions because they did not have the proper training. So that's what we're saying, that a critical thinking should be done from an early stage, right? Critical thinking is also control to emotions, right? And how you can control yourself and how you can like self-regulate. So it is also important. So if we think of critical thinking, it is going to start at an early stage, and a kid is going to have like different, let's say, situations, and he's going to have important decisions to make. What could be an important decision a kid has to do at a young age? What do you think a kid could decide?
Who to play with?
Very good. Who to play with? Yeah, like who am I going to have fun with? Okay. Or what would I play with this person? Is it going to give me something additional? Okay. What would be another reason? What about when your parents give you the chance to decide what clothes you're going to wear, right? And they tell you, oh, we're going to a party, right? Get ready. Yes. It is probably at lunchtime. Yes. And here comes the kid, right, with a bow tie. And we knew. Sorry?
What to decide what is proper to do?
Exactly, yes, to decide what fits in a specific moment. So this is giving the kid, right, the opportunity to use critical thinking skills and to decide for that, yes. And as they grow up, right, maybe they have to decide if who are they going to make friends with. Yes, that will be also another decision. What when we grow up? This is probably one of the first important decisions, right? We decide and we take, like what car to buy. I could tell you a story. When I was 18 years old, I wanted to buy a convertible car, right? And my brother said, Hey, you're not rich. Like in 4 or 5 years, when you want to sell that car, no one's going to buy that car. Thank God I listened to my brother, right? I never thought of that. So it means probably I lacked the skills to take such important decision. Another important decision. What could be one of the most important decisions we make in life?
Marry with?
Sorry?
Who to marry with?
Yes, okay, that's an important decision. And many times, right, we probably make wrong decisions there, but that's okay. Okay, nothing happens, especially these days, right? So this is an important decision, and you need to have all the elements that you need to analyze. Even if you decided not to marry and just go and live with that person, you need to decide if that's what you want to do, or you could actually be, like under the eyes of the society. So it's like freeing yourself from certain beliefs. Okay, at the end, the idea is to make, yes, thoughtful thinkers, people that can use some time to actually make decisions, right? Now, in doing so, we're going to find different types of thinkers, yes? What would be these different type of thinkers we're going to find? We're going to find uncritical persons. We're going to find selfish critical persons. And we're going to find fair-minded critical persons. Let's analyze each step. Yes. First, an uncritical person. What's an uncritical person? This type of people, they don't care about their thinking. Yes. They just may take a decision, but don't even think if it's going to be good or bad for them. Yes. Often they fall prey to wishful thinking, right? Which means like, oh, I just wish it happened to me, but they don't take action on what they want to do. And obviously they lack awareness of their own biases, like, so they don't even know what their beliefs are. Also, they tend to engage in group thinking, right, and values of the crowd. So they don't have like personal beliefs or a series of their own criteria, let's say. So they do, what the others do. That's okay. Yo hago lo que dicen los demás. Okay. Now, these are uncritical persons. We also have selfish critical persons, which would be people who are good at thinking, yes, but they are not fair to others. And this is what we were saying, because they are not controlling probably their emotions, and they cannot think critically and be in the shoes of others. Because also critical thinking is about having certain empathy with people. So their convenience is going to be a priority, yes? Their actions obviously will affect others. And many times it happens. It could happen with friends, it could happen at a work environment as well. Now, fair-minded critical persons. What are fair-minded critical persons? These are people who are good at thinking, but unlike the other type of thinkers, they are fair to other people. Yes, they give each person what they deserve. So they have the intellectual courage, yes, to make decisions. They have intellectual empathy, what we were saying, because this is about building rapport with others, being in someone else's shoes. And also, they're going to have intellectual autonomy, yes, which is being able to decipher themselves and not do what the rest of the people say to do, right? All right. Now, here the question is, how often do you think critically? This is a tricky question, yes? These are the answers, right? You think critically all the time, frequently, sometimes, seldom, or it could be never, okay? So for this, I would like to run a poll, and I'm gonna open the poll right now. It is ready? Yes, it's ready. So how often do you think critically? It's a tricky question. Okay, we have 40%, 50% now. Wow, we went up fast. 60% now. Okay, we have 70 now. Let's close the poll right here. And these are the results, okay? You can see them right there, yes? So 48% say frequently, 26 sometimes. Good to read. Never is not an option. 26% of the people say all the time. It was a tricky question because it's impossible to think critically all the time. Yes, this happens in a specific moments, right? But one cannot be thinking like critically like 100% of the times, right? Yes, even though you are like someone who is a fair-minded critical thinker, there would be moments when you would not really need to focus or rely on these thinking skills. Believe me, like becoming a critical thinker, you know, in every single moment of your life is difficult. And I could say I have been there, and you also lose like control of your emotions, you lose control of your actions. So that's why you need to regulate the type of thinking you do. Okay, so now what does critical thinking have to do with me as an EFL or as an ESL teacher? Yes, how is it related? Yes, do you think it is related or not?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely.
Why absolutely?
Oh, because it is good to analyze the materials that we can give our students in order to have
Yes.
them
Mm-hmm.
analyze, not only staying in a square.
Yes. Okay, I like that. You need to analyze the material. This is like from the perspective of a teacher, you know, like preparing the class. I love that. Yes, you need to analyze the type of class, the type of materials, information you're going to give them. And once you're into the classroom, now that you selected carefully your materials, the type of questions you're going to accept and how you're going to guide your students toward thinking. Yes, thank you very much.
Sorry,
Yes.
should we continue watching or looking at the survey?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I didn't stop that. Let me close
Okay.
that survey. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Okay, there we are. So now you can see the screen, right? Okay, what does critical thinking have to do with me as an EFL digital teacher? Okay, any other idea? What does it have to do? One of the contributions said in selecting materials carefully. What's another idea? No? Okay. Let's say that we are living in a moment, yes, we said, in which
Me.
we have, yes,
Hi,
thank
Rafael.
you. Yes, who's that?
Me, from Pachuca. We try to teach students
I believe that at
the things skills. Sorry.
Yes.
we decide what to do, how to guide them, and how to get or achieve the goal.
Yes. Okay. So you need to decide like how to guide your students, how to achieve a goal. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So let's say that we are living a moment, yes, in which we have like different approaches and different methodologies used in the classroom. You may decide which is the approach that you do. It could be more of a teacher-centered approach. It could be more of a student-centered approach. If you decide to go for the teacher-centered approach, these are all the different, let's say, points you would focus on. Grammar-based teaching, structures of language, accuracy language, right? Content memorization, deductive reasoning. Now, if you go more for the student-centered approach, you go more into communicative language teaching, you go into task-based learning, inductive reasoning, more fluency, communication. Where do you think critical thinking fits here? Like, if you look at your screen, on the left, which is the teacher center, or on the right, which is the student center? It goes more into the, obviously, a student center, because if you promote more of task-based learning activities, collaborative teaching, you're going to have the opportunity to give students those moments to think critically, which is one of our objectives. Okay, so let's do some critical thinking skills right here, and for this I'm going to need your spontaneous participation for this quick activity. For this quick activity, all you have to do is just give me words. Okay, so if you have your microphone ready, just please give me some words, whatever comes to your mind. Are you ready? Let's start. Okay. So tell me, what is this? What is this?
The circle.
Yes, very good. It is a circle, but it's not what I want to show this time. So it's not a circle.
It's a plate.
A what?
A plate.
A plate. Well, that's great imagination.
It's
Or
a
this is
door.
a what?
A
It's a
window.
door.
A door. Well, okay. It could be the doorknob, right? But
Sorry,
it's not
I
a door.
hear
A
you well.
round window.
Turn the
A
microphone
window.
off.
Yes.
A round window.
It's a round window, right? No, and it's not the people either. Okay, let me give you a clue. Let me give you a clue on what it is. Okay. Yes. What is it?
Ring.
A what?
Fingers.
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 But this is something round. Okay, it's something round with fingers. Okay, let me give you another clue.
It's a face. It's a face.
A face.
Yes, it's a face.
Yes, it's a face. What is it?
A clown.
A clown. Okay, it could be a clown. Like actually, we have a face.
It's a
we have the
teacher.
mouth. It's a teacher, probably. Look at this now. Okay, so
It's a puppet.
what is it?
It's a puppet.
A puppet. Okay. I'm gonna give you one last hint, and I think this is going to be super easy now. What is it?
It's an M&M. It's an M&M.
Yes, it's an M&M. Do you like M&Ms?
Yes.
Yes, everyone loves M&Ms. Well, I believe. Okay, I have some questions for you right here. Okay, let's imagine maybe you have an M&M in front of you, or let's try to recall. What does an M&M look like?
An egg.
Like an egg, okay? It's like oval, round sometimes. So it doesn't have like a definite shape, but it goes from an oval to something round, okay?
Like a stone.
Like a stone, okay? Very good. Now tell me, how many M's and M's are there in a bag, and how many different colors do you find?
Around 5 or 6?
Probably 5. Actually, if you see on your screen, you have 6 different colors, right? So it could be. And how many M&Ms in the bag?
Maybe around 40 or 50.
Well, it also depends on what size of bag. Let's try to think of a regular bag, right? A regular bag. I think you went up a little bit high. Based on other times I've done this, you probably find between what, like 25, 16 to 18, I think. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, now we have one more question. How would you sort your M&Ms? How do you sort them? Can you sort them? Please, let's mute your microphones. Can you sort them by shapes?
Only
No.
if they were mixed.
Only if they were mixed, but actually the shape is pretty much the same. So I would say you sort them by colors, right? That's the possible only way to sort them. By flavors, they all taste the same because the color doesn't influence on the taste. So the way to sort them would be by colors. Now, what colors you found? You said it was about 4 or 5 colors. Now, what color possibly outnumbers the rest of the M&Ms? What color do you think outnumbers M&Ms?
The color brown.
Brown. Why do you think it is brown?
The possibilities of color are graded, I think. Is
Okay.
the color of the chocolate.
Thank you. Okay. So many times they say that because it's the color of chocolate. Okay. Now another question here is what are they made of? Simple, right? What are they made of?
Chocolate.
Yes, chocolate, right? Very good. Are M&Ms seasonal? Are they influenced by season?
And peanut.
Okay, yes, they're also made of peanut and caramel too.
Rice.
That's another.
And
Okay.
rice.
Okay, very good. So
And pretzels.
that's true. That's very true. Okay. Are M&Ms seasonal or not? Are they influenced by the season? Have you seen some?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
I have. Nightmare M&Ms are from dark chocolate.
Okay, very good. There you go. Or maybe when it's Easter time, you can see those are like pink and a little bit white. It's more, like Pascua. Or in the United States, in America, also when it's Halloween time, you go for some orange and purple, I think. So it
And
they are
sometimes
influenced. Yes.
in Halloween they fill them in with pumpkin flavors.
Oh, really? Okay. Good. Okay, another question. How would you eat an M&M? How would you eat it?
On top of
There's
ice cream.
Okay, good. Yes, on top of ice cream.
M&Ms melt in your mouth, not in your hands.
Thank you very much. I was gonna say that. Yes, they melt in your mouth. Okay, excellent. Uh, what different types of M&Ms are there? You mentioned some, right? You said pretzel. You said peanut. Okay, you said caramel. Which is the best one? Convince me which is the best.
For me, the caramel,
Why? Marco.
because it melts quickly.
Okay, another one.
For me, rice is
Okay,
crunchy.
crunchy. Another
No.
one. Pretzels. I don't like pretzels,
I
so
see
I'm,
pretzel.
I'm not buying your idea. Okay, thank you. And last question: would eating a pack of M&Ms a day affect your diet?
Claro que sí.
Claro que sí, right? Okay. So
Definitely.
don't ever try that, okay? Because it is gonna affect your diet. So here, so far, we have been doing different thinking skills. So let's try to analyze the different thinking skills we have been using. Remember from the very first image I showed when I show you the circle. What are you doing there? You are observing, right?
Yes.
And maybe you did some visualizing, and we're gonna see some differences there. Now, if we focus on this first question, what does M&M look like? We did a little bit of describing because you could probably say, oh, it is round or it is like an oval, and maybe you could have said it has a name on the stomach, right? Okay. Now, how many M&Ms are there in the back? How many different colors? What skill is this?
Math.
Okay, you're doing math skills. Specifically, you are probably, you go like, oh, like 1, 2, 3, counting, right? Very good. Please, okay, thank you for the microphone. How would you sort your M&Ms? So imagine you have like a bag and you start sorting them. We said that is by colors. Actually, the answer is right there for you. The skill here is what? Sorting. It's sorting, right? Now, what are M&Ms made of? There's another skill here. What are they made of? This is listing, yes? Oh, they're made of chocolate, and maybe it has also sugar, and it has artificial flavor, so you're giving a list of different options. Are M&Ms seasonal? Why yes or why not? This is justifying the why. Yes, they are seasonal because they are influenced by a specific moment to boost sales. So you're justifying. How would you eat an M&M? That would be visualizing, because probably you go for detail and you remember someone says it has to melt in your mouth, and yeah, I can picture myself, like with the M&M there for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Okay, what different types of M&Ms are there? Convince me, right, in this case, or convince your partner, which is the best one. This is what? This is changing point of view. Yes, you have to convince someone else why someone is like in a different way. And would eating a pack of M&Ms a day affect your diet? This is what? Going into deeper thinking. Yes, this is probably analyzing. This is probably debating. So you can see here, like first to debate, you need to analyze, and from there you will be able to build on a response. All right. So these are like basic critical thinking skills. Yes. And here we have like a list of many different critical thinking skills. these skills, you're going to find them in the documents are attached, so you can download the file, and so you can take with you. Okay, now let's take a look at some of them. They may seem like easy. They're easy, right? But there are like some slight differences sometimes between one and the other. For example, comparing and contrasting. What's the difference between comparing and contrasting? You remember? Which one looks for similarities and which one looks for differences?
Oh, contrasting is differences, right?
Contrasting, yes, thank you, differences. And comparing is similarities.
Yeah.
In your class, how could you probably promote comparing and contrasting?
Okay, English, American English and British English, for example.
Okay, which one is better, American or British? Okay, guys, so please compare and contrast like both accents, let's say. So students could start like building, and maybe first they're going to list, and by listing, they are making these comparisons, or they are contrasting. Okay, so let's say it is a process of looking at similarities or differences, right, in order to reveal important characteristics of two different objects or systems. Okay, another one is visualizing. Visualizing is specifically like to form like mental images of something, right? And usually when you visualize, you are going to fall back on previous knowledge. Yeah, so when you say visualize, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have like a mental, let's call it a mental inspection of an image. So boom, it pops out in your brain, and then you're visualizing because you're going to use previous knowledge and you're going to pay more attention to details. So that is visualizing, like going into details. Okay, now what would be imagining? What would be imagining? Imagining, let's say it covers both tangible and intangible aspects, but it doesn't call for previous knowledge. Yes, it is not connected to details as probably visualizing was. Imagining is more the moment. So if I tell you, imagine you're driving a car, you're going to imagine your hands, you know, like on the steering wheel. But if I said, okay, like picture yourself driving the car, yes, visualize yourself on a sunny day, so it goes like for more specific, and immediately you're going to go back to some previous experiences, right? So that's a difference. Visualizing is going to go for more specific information. Imagining goes for more in the moment information. You don't require very specific information. Now, summarizing and synthesizing. These are other two skills. What's the difference? Because they're pretty similar. Yes. Summarizing is condensing, let's say, information, the most important points, right, from a text, and using your own words. And this is like to provoke the, oh, I got it. Yes, I understood. This is the summarizing. And the synthesizing is a summarizing, but taking the process, right, like one step further by combining ideas. Yes. This is like pulling the most important points from a reading, I'm sorry, and then moving from what the author stated to your personal beliefs. And here you're going to use information, right, that you probably learned, that you probably heard. In summarizing, you concentrate more on the author's beliefs, and in synthesizing, you're going to use what you have also found in other moments. And then we have other two words or two skills, which are inferring and implying. Yeah, they're both verbs, right? They start with an I, and they may be sometimes a little bit confusing. And we could also say that they're not common, like in students' colloquial speech. But how many times we don't hear these words in a certification, right? Like, what does the woman infer? What does the man most probably imply? You know, and as they're answering the certification, they go like, oh my God, what's infer? Oh, what's implying? Yeah. So we need to train students, right, with these skills. Okay, let's say inferring. What's inferring? This is the act or the process of reaching a conclusion about something from known facts or evidence. And a key word here is the degree of certainty there is. So, for example, if I see that someone's wearing a sweater or someone's wearing a scarf, I would infer that, well, it must be cold, or the person must be cold because of the sweater the person is wearing. Yes, it's like something you can infer based on a certain degree of information you have. And implying means to hint, right, or to give a clue, but not to directly say it. So you imply something from information that is not complete. Yes. Predicting, well, we know that's easy, right? And the main characteristic of this is the lack of certainty of occurrence. We don't know if it's going to happen or not, because this is like future information. Yes, and we many times we predict, as it says here, based on facts or observations, but we don't know if this is going to happen or not. Okay. Now, making a hypothesis, is that complicated? What's making a hypothesis? Could a student in 6th grade, 5th grade make a hypothesis? Would it be difficult? What do you think? It's not really difficult. And here what we need to do is to guide students, right, to analyze or to build relationships between variables. Let's make it simpler. If they have like 2 different options, they have 2 different models to analyze. Oh, check them. And based on this, what can you deduct? So making a hypothesis is going to be like a more educated guess based on facts, right? But you need to reason out, yes, your understanding. So that's why we call it is an educated guess. It's not just like to say, oh yeah, I believe it's this. No, you need to analyze, find points in common, and from here I can build something. And this is how I will develop my small hypothesis, right? Now, drawing conclusions. And drawing conclusions, this is like something more judgmental, and this is going to be also built on previously learned information. This is how you're going to jump to a conclusion. So you need to use like more thinking, okay? Now, there are other 2 skills, decision making and problem solving. Yes, they are similar, but they are different skills. Decision making involves choosing among different courses of action. So you're not really going to know what's going to happen. You just like take different decisions. Like, oh, these are the options that I have. Whether they're good or not, well, you just make a decision. And problem solving is going to be what? Like focusing on the specific problem and the roots. So in problem solving, you're going to select one option and you're going to select it because this is the best you can do, right? So in decision making, you can have like think of different ideas, but it's not important if it's or you don't analyze the final outcome. Let's put it that way. And in problem solving, yes, you do analyze the final outcome. Okay. So these are different skills we said. Here we have them. Any questions? We could now jump into one more activity. Yes. Okay, this is going to be simple. I'm going to show you right now some images and a question. So for this, you need to have a pen or a pencil and a paper, right? You're going to mark number 1, and I'm going to show you like 3 different skills, and you're going to decide, yes, on what's the skill promoted there. So for example, give as many details as possible about that part of your class, about that part of your, house. There's a mistake there. About that part of your house you like the most. So give as many details as possible. Which one would it be? Don't tell me. Just write your answer. Okay? Would it be brainstorming, describing, or would it be problem solving? Are you ready? I'm not going to give you the answers. We're going to check the answers at the end, okay? I'm going to move to the second question. Convince your partner why living abroad is a unique experience, right? Your options are predicting, debating, changing point of view. Convince your partner. Okay, one more. Number 3. What is the sequence of the story? Ordering, sorting, classifying. One more. The woman is sick. She's not working today. Is this implying? Is this visualizing? Or is this inferring? The woman is sick, so she's not working today. Okay, then we're going to move to number 5. It says, the student next to you keeps trying to look at your paper during a test, right? What do you do to stop this situation? What do you do to stop the situation? Is it problem solving? Is it listing? Or is it decision making? What do you do to stop this situation? Okay, number 6. Look at the logo makeovers, right? Do you prefer the old or the new version? Which one do you prefer? Changing point of view, comparing and contrasting, or is it decision making? Which one do you prefer? Okay, number 7. Look at the photos and discuss the questions you might be given, right? So you look at the photos and you visualize, you observe, or you imagine. Which one do you do? Visualize, observe, or imagine? Okay, again, the same picture. The student next to you keeps trying to look at your paper during a test. What are possible options? What are possible options to fix a problem? Problem solving, making hypotheses, or decision making? What are possible options? Okay, we have one more. What are different items you find at home?
I'm sorry.
It happens. We always have one student like that. I'm just kidding. Okay, and last, oh no, that was the last one. Okay, let's check those answers. Okay, so you tell me here, give as many details as possible about that part of your house, right? You like the most. What is it? As many details as possible.
Describing.
Perfect. It is describing. Okay, it is describing. Very good, because you're being specific and you are listing like different characteristics. Now, convince your partner. That would be
Changing point of view.
Thank you very much. Changing point of view. What is the sequence of the story?
Ordering.
Yes, and because of the illustrations, you can see this comes from a preschooler book. So you can see how preschoolers obviously you do critical thinking. Yeah, you could also do sorting, or you could do classifying. In many different activities. So this is not exclusive of young adults, let's say, or elementary school students. Now the woman is sick. She's not working today. Based on this, you are inferring. Yes. Right. Because let's say here you have like some specific evidence. You know that she's sick. So because she's sick, she cannot move. Maybe you see she's in bed. So you are inferring from something. You're not implying. It's not that you are like that you have a hint. No, you have very specific evidence. So that's what you infer. Okay, the person next to you wants to look at your paper. What do you do to stop the situation?
Decision making.
It would be problem solving, right? Because you want to stop the situation. You need to select one action to take. So you need to come to an end, to a conclusion. So it would be problem solving. We're going to get to the next picture. where obviously the answer is not problem solving. Okay, we'll see in a minute. Here, which logo do you prefer? The old one or the new version, sorry? It would be
Interesting.
thank you very much. Okay. Look at the photos and discuss the questions, right? And maybe one of the questions said, what was your favorite part in what's the name of this movie? I just
Observing.
lost it.
Serving.
Okay, this would be observing, yes, because you're going for details. Huh? Oh my God, I cannot remember the name of the movie. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Titanic.
Thank you very much, Titanic. Okay, so you're observing and here you recalled on information, okay, from the past. Okay, now what are possible options to fix the problem? This would be decision making. You're not going to solve the problem. I mean, like per se, you're going to think of different options you have. From there, the next step is yes to problem solve. Okay. What are different items you find at home? This would be blah, 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 blah. Very good. Brainstorming. Okay. All right. Was it difficult?
No.
No, right? It's easy. And these are activities that you do on a daily basis, right? And maybe sometimes it's just like using the correct labels for these activities that we do in class. So important observation. Critical thinking skills do not necessarily function independently. So what does it mean? We can combine different skills, right? When you do one, you can connect it to another. So it's not that you're going to do only one. They come like included in the package. You know, one takes you to another one. Critical thinking skills function through content. And these we saw it before. In order to think critically, there must be a situation. There must be context. Content, sorry. Obviously, there must be context. Okay. So that's part of critical thinking. Okay. Now, so far we have looked at the definition of the critical thinking, sorry. We have looked at some skills. So now I would like to share with you, and I think you might have heard of this, a little bit about Bloom's taxonomy. Yes. Now, what is this Bloom's taxonomy? Benjamin Bloom, right, developed a system of classifying like different thinking skills. This was like many years ago. This was like back in the 50s, right? But it has been updated, and there's an update there in 2000 by Anderson and Grothwell. Yes, but basically what we can rescue from Bloom's taxonomy is the existence of different types or different complexity in which we do thinking, right? So what is lots and what is HOTS? Lots would be lower.
Hi, Rafa, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. You cannot hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So lots would be lower thinking skills and HOT would be higher order thinking skills, okay? That would be the difference. Now, tell me, which is better, lots or HOTs? Is there anyone that's better? I would say no one's better than the other. It just depends on what you want to do in the class. It all depends on what you actually say, what you want to accomplish. And this is going to be important. So don't believe that one is going to be better than the other. You just need to actually type, yes.
On behalf of Richmond Publishing,
Oh my God, what's that?
appreciate your being here today.
I think someone's playing the audio of the workshop, the webinar, sorry. So if you could please stop it, like not use it, because we need to keep the microphones open to have some interaction. Okay, thank you very much. Now it's ready. Okay, so let's go into it. Okay, these are like different higher order and lower order thinking skills. Creating, remembering, applying, evaluating, analyzing, and understanding. I'm going to ask you to think of the basis of the pyramid, right, to the top, which is the higher order. I'm going to give you a clue here. Like what you want to get in higher order thinking skills is you want students to create. That's like the top, right, of the pyramid. So I'll give you 1 minute. Which is the base, which is the foundation of the pyramid, which is second, third, fourth, fifth.
So let me
And we get to the last one, which is creating. Okay.
About I think 97% say yes.
Okay. If someone is playing the audio of the webinar, please stop it because we're listening. I'm going to close the microphone here.
We're questioned about
okay.
why we're having games in the classroom. So today it is completely.
All right. So we said on top is creating. So what goes first? Is it applying, or maybe it is first remembering? What goes second? Creating is the top, and before creating we do what? Okay, it's been about a minute or probably less, but we're almost there. Okay, I'm gonna open your microphones again so we can listen to you. Okay, and okay, now your microphones are open, so I'm gonna give you another hint. Okay, the very first one we have, yes, is remembering. Yes, that's our base. Now, what goes after remembering?
Understand.
Okay, the next would be, thank you very much, miss. That would be understanding. Okay, okay, there it goes. Oh, what's wrong here? What's happening here? Okay. There we go, understanding. Okay, now what goes third? Remembering, understanding. So I first remember, I understand, and now I want to
analyze.
That's a little bit like higher. I want to apply first. Okay? Because it's the basic understanding that I have. These are lower order thinking skills. Okay, remembering, understanding, and applying, and they're not bad. And we're gonna see in a minute that we do them in the class every day. Yes. Not remembering, not because it is like memorizing or reciting something is bad. Many times we're afraid of that, but that's a good beginning. Okay, after that we have analyzing, then we have evaluating, and finally we have creating, which is where we want to get. Okay, so let's do our next activity. Yes, and for this next activity I'm gonna ask you in your documents, right? There's one that is a PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint document. Please, could you please open it? Yes, it's number 1, activity, blooms is called. Number 1, activity, blooms. I'm gonna ask you to open this file, okay? I'm gonna open my file also, and I'm gonna show you what you have to do right here. Okay, okay, there it is. Okay, this is the file. So what you're going to do is this: remembering. Which one do you think is remembering? So you can either move the square, you can move the information, or if you want, you can probably draw a line. Yes, like maybe you say remembering, obviously it's not this. If you believe remembering is, I don't know, drawing connections, let's say, you could go like that. Okay, so let's take 2 or 3 minutes, analyze carefully, and let's find the best answers here. Okay. All right, I'm going to close the microphones and let's take 2 more minutes and match the level of thinking to the possible correct, let's say, definition or actions to describe this. Okay, I open the microphones. How many do you have matched so far? Did anyone finish? Okay.
1 minute, please.
Of course, I'll wait.
Actually, I couldn't open the PowerPoint presentation, but I was checking.
Oh, you can see my screen, no problems, right? You can use guide from my screen.
All right.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. Okay, there it is. Okay. So remembering, what is remembering? Which one do you match it with?
I matched it with the number 3.
Can you read it, please, Miss?
I can see the screen. Sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, that's true. You couldn't open the file. No worries. Okay. Remembering is, it says, this level doesn't necessarily involve a complete understanding of the meaning. It focuses on facts or basic concepts. Its ability to recall or to locate information, right, from different texts. And basically, remember, as a first stage, here you might ask students to recite something, right, that was previously taught, or maybe quoting some information from memory. Yeah, this is like probably using memory. And sometimes we are scared because students won't actually say, oh, they won't produce like a creative language. No, that's not a problem, because precisely that's the characteristic of this first step, right, in the model. What's important here is just to understand or to know facts, to know things, yes? There are like some spaces that are called like answer periods, right? Also here you may include different options of multiple choice elements. So basically the whole process, the whole idea of this process is for the student to memorize, right, and to recall information, yes? So this information that he memorizes won't take him to any, like, let's say, deeper thinking, but this is the beginning of the process, okay? Then we have the second part, which is understanding. And for understanding, okay, basically the idea, students here have to prove the understanding of the new materials, right? By probably, let's say, maybe discussing information, right, of new ideas. After they have memorized from stage 1, it's now the moment to put some meaning into it, right? So here we can ask the students to probably discuss a problem or an idea in their own words, yes? They can retell a story. We prove understanding probably by paraphrasing an idea, yes, like what you read, what you listened to. Now give me the same idea, but in your own words. So they're paraphrasing because there's understanding. They're answering true and false questions, okay? Applying. Applying is simple, right? The student will now have to take what he has learned, but he needs to take it like into a situation or a scenario outside the classroom, yes? For example, students here, they can complete charts, right? Or they can decide whether something is good or not from their experience, yes? So basically this element or this third stage highlights a lot of collaboration among students because they're going to have interaction. Up to here, these are like lower thinking skills. But now we move into what's a little bit more what we call higher thinking skills, right? And this is the first one is analyzing, yes? And here students, the idea is to draw connections, right, between the ideas. Let's say that this is the moment to start doing like more critical thinking skills. So students demonstrate that they fully understand new materials, right? And what is the content as a general thing and the different parts that it has. An example would be probably choosing, let's say, like a best destination, right? Maybe for an exchange program, like what's the most convenient for you. So I need to analyze, I need to break into parts like, this destination, but why? Because I have these, and these reasons, okay? So that would be analyzing. Then we have the fifth stage, which is this evaluating. And here in evaluating, students have to make educated judgment, yes, about the material that he has received. And when we say educated judgment, because he needs to look at the different possibilities he has. And based on this, he's going to decide, searching through, let's say, facts or opinions or inferences. An idea here would be possibly like arguing, yes, like different dilemmas we have in life, or convincing our partner about a life decision. And last, and this is probably like one of the most exciting parts, because this is when students can actually, well, it's going to sound redundant, but they create, yes, and they use their creativity. This is the last stage, right? And here the student proves to fully understand what he's learned, yes? So he goes into something more tangible or even conceptual, right? Like maybe building your own hypothesis and proving it, but it's creating, yes? Maybe we have an example there, right? Which is turn a regular recipe, right, for lasagna into something healthy, yes? Or maybe create a poster or do role plays. So this would be the last stage. Now, for all these different levels, we have specific verbs, okay? Remembering. Remembering is not about formulating or improving or adapting, no. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is just to match them, okay? For example, which one do you think would be remembering? Remembering is about memorization.
It would be about building.
About what?
Building.
Building. Okay. From the different labels that you have there, which one would you choose?
Showing, listing, recognizing,
Yes.
finding, using.
Very good. Thank you very much. This is like showing, listing. This is like the basis, right? Okay. I'm going to show you the different verbs you actually have here, okay? So these are like the different skills you can use for any of this. So if you remember, okay, you do it through showing, listing, and when you understand, you want probably to paraphrase, we said to show, again, could be organizing. When you want to create, you're going to adapt to new scenarios, you're going to produce. For example, in evaluation, you need to accept and reject, so you need to justify why something is one way or the other. Okay, let's try to think of a class in which our topic is music, yes? A remembering activity would be something as simple as memorize a song. And you may say, well, but that's not productive. Yeah, but the student is probably verbalizing and he's probably practicing on a specific speaking skills, right, or pronunciation. So it would not be bad. It is also good. From there, we can go to understanding. And maybe I can ask my student to highlight 3 important moments in the song. So that way I'm going to make sure he understood what the song was about, right? Then I can probably go to applying, yes? And basically in applying, remember we said it's taking what the student learned outside the classroom context, yes? Like taking it to other scenarios. So here, maybe I'm going to interview my classmates, or I'm going to interview my family or other friends about the type of music they like. Analyzing, maybe I could ask them to take a look at the evolution of music and the different existing styles and analyze which one is better, which one was worse, what was the music representative from a specific decade, right? Evaluating, like maybe here we use spaces for collaboration, yes? Post in a forum what's your favorite type of music, right? And here you're going to justify. You may probably want to influence on other people by changing your point of view, and you may start like some sort of a debate, yes, in the forum. And finally, creating. What could you do for creating in terms of music?
Writing a rap song.
Good.
Like
writing a song.
Maybe with a tune they already have from another song, they could invent
Yes.
their own lyrics.
Okay, good. Let's try to go a little bit deeper.
They also could invent some rhymes.
Okay, they
and
could invent some
rhythms.
rhythms.
And
Very
rhythms.
good. Maybe if I want to address like let's say older students or who are able to discuss on social problems, like write a song in which you discuss a social problem we are facing these days. So they can create, and probably they have to follow, right, the whole process. Okay, so these are like different the different levels in Bloom's taxonomy. All right, now, what does critical thinking have to do with me as a teacher? Is it related or not? Yes, we have learned that it is related 100%, completely related, right? Because I cannot teach, let's say, in isolation. Yes, I have to include different elements. Okay, let me see what's happening here, because the screen is not changing. What do you see right now on your screen?
Oh, an image of
Okay.
adolescents.
Now it's the correct image. Okay, so let's keep on here. Okay, it's important when we do critical thinking, yes, it is important to look at digital literacy, right? Remember, we're living a moment in which we need to teach our students to know the different sources they have, and there must be credibility for information. We need to give them the skills to actually decide if the information is what they need and what they actually look for. Yes. Also, critical thinking is going to focus on affective and interpersonal skills. So this is going to form students who become curious, and also we're going to have students who are intellectually humble. How is this? Well, because probably they can say, I don't know. They have that power to say, don't know, and I'm going to find out. We also form people who are tolerant to others and also open-minded, right? And this is one of the parts we do a lot of in language, right? Through global language, we try to give students like different perspectives in life. And by using adequate critical thinking skills is how we're going to shape their thinking and their understanding towards other people or other cultures. Okay. Now, also language skills are needed to express opinion. So if they want to express something, yes, they're going to be working with a specific skills, either is writing, listening, or reading, so they are connected, as we were saying. Also, we're going to recognize, yes, how to persuade them or to mislead information. So this would be like sometimes they're going to read an article and they're going to see, oh, here they're persuading me, or no, here they're trying to get me confused. So with these critical thinking skills, I can know what the writer, what the author of an article or whatever I find is trying to do. So I can know whether to believe or not. Now, something important, yeah, students are assessed by standardized exams or certifications. But what's the kind of interactions these exams promote? It's a lot of giving ideas, of giving emotions, points of view. So they need first to think quickly. They need to interact with someone else. They need to give their point of views. They need to change point of views from others. So when they get to this type of interactions in an exam, they should have gone through a process of critical thinking. So that's why it is important to do critical thinking in our class, right? Like maybe from the, let's say, low stages to the higher order thinking skills. And many times the students in these exams, they go like, oh, I didn't know what to answer. But you can also see on the opposite, the students who can think critically and they do it, fast. Yes. Let's also remember that students are taught to think critically and to think creatively. And to think creatively would be like to look for different options. And creative thinking is a consequence of critical thinking. So we first need to think critically to then think creatively and be able to move to different stages. Okay. It is essential for university success. Yes. If you want students to be successful, independent, autonomous, yes, there must be a lot of critical thinking. Yeah. Like how many times we don't say like, oh my God, like university students, they're not able to make decisions on their own. This is because they lack all these skills, right? All right, so far we have looked at definitions, skills, higher order and low order thinking skills, how we as teachers, right, are related to critical thinking. So in summary, we could say that communicative language tasks require a lot of critical thinking. Yeah, so if we want to use critical thinking in the class, if we want to use critical thinking, you need to involve communication. Yes. So we could not like use rote learning or mechanized learning activities. I'm not saying they're bad. Yes, they work. Yes, but you can find a way to connect them to critical thinking. Yes. Critical thinking relies on a wide variety of skills that allow students, right, to shape their perspective. In a world of digital age, we know students need to grow like some critical literacy to again like know what they can believe or not to believe. Yes, and to create autonomous learners, right, we must provide proper thinking skills. Like there's no way to have autonomous learners if we are not like giving them these thinking skills. Albert Einstein said, right, the value of college education is not the learning of many facts, it is the training of the mind to think. So my last question would be, are we training these students regardless of the level you have, right, you're teaching? Are we training these students to think critically? Yes. I grew up in a time where you were asked to memorize the information. I learned probably what happened during the revolution, but I never said what could have been avoided, right, to make it happen. So it was just memorizing. There was no like a space probably to create. Obviously, I also witnessed a period of change through this education and trying to reach to more critical thinking spaces. All right. Well, thank you very much for attending this second webinar today. Right there on the screen, you can have my email. I will check later on your possible questions you could have written on the chat box. And please feel free to send any questions you can have through my email, and I'll be glad to answer. Well, thank you very much. Have a great day and have a great weekend too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
It was a very important conference.
So much.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.